Hey everybody, it's Sunday night and I am here for some Sunday night BS. And I'm joined by our good friend and patron, Ghetto Bible. Ghetto Bible, say hello to everyone out there.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday sermon.
So, folks, Ghetto Bible, as I said, is a patron. And as a patron, you guys can request things like this: hangouts, commentaries, watch parties, all kinds of stuff. We're always in service to you guys. So, Ghetto Bible wanted to come on here and have a one-on-one discussion with me. He had some talking points with entertainment and Star Wars, the crazy SJW scourge that's ruining everything. So, basically, sit down, relax, and listen to a really good conversation that's about to happen. So, Ghetto Bible, take it away, my friend.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to talk about SJWs and Star Wars and what's going on with that sort of thing. But before I get into that, I just want to tell everybody that if you're a progressive or anything like that listening, because I know that some of these people do listen, that the people complaining about what's going on, we don't hate you guys personally or anything like that. It's just the fact that a lot of these franchises don't need ideologies put into them. When we think about this sort of stuff, there's plenty of Christians and various random people in Hollywood that are left, right, whatever, but they're able to separate themselves from their work. If you're portraying someone or something on the TV screen or producing something, you don't have to put yourself into it or your ideologies. It's easy to separate yourself from that sort of thing. It doesn't represent who you are. I don't think Anthony Hopkins is a serial killer for what he does. So I just don't understand why when SJWs come into the picture, why is it that they keep putting their ideologies and their own personal hangups into established franchises that don't need it?
Well, I guess it's because their ideals are so crazy and fringe that nothing else would float. Like, you couldn't make a movie about these things. You have to put it in Terminator or Star Wars to get it out there, and it's sad. That it just goes to show you what their message they're trying to put out there isn't strong enough.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a lot of issues with that so far. I mean, heck, I've talked about it before. I have SGW family members and stuff like that, and I know we went to the Solo movie, and as soon as we come out, my mom, my sister, they're both SGWs, and they start talking about like, oh man, I loved L337, and I'm just like, okay, but then the way they start going is like, yeah, watching L337 made me realize I need more black friends, and she's so sassy and she's telling everyone this and that.
What?
And seriously,
Wow.
they're saying L337 proved that black men know how to take orders from women and shit like that. I'm just like, oh my god! Imagine if Dion was here, because I just watched your show before going to see it, and I was just like, man, I could just imagine what Dion's thinking if he heard this. It was just absolutely crazy. But that's the sort of stuff I run into where they say these stuff and they don't realize how they're sounding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how you would take that from the movie. These people are reading far too much into it. I feel like if this was a school assignment with a level-headed teacher, you'd get an F, because that's not what this is about at all. This is weird. This is why people don't like those ideologies in movies, because it creates a problem that wasn't there. It's like trying to make something, I don't know, it's trying to change thought through weird ideals, or change thought with weird ideals through Star Wars with entertainment that's kind of like for everybody already. I don't know how your family members could pick that up from L337.
Well, what was even crazier is the voice actress for L337 isn't even black. She's white.
No, yeah.
So it's like, okay, come on, guys. But this isn't uncommon. I've talked to people, I've argued with people in comment section forums and stuff like that, and they think that this sort of progressive nonsense in these movies is great. And it's like, I really don't understand how they can think this. I mean, let's look at The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens. What is it about? It's about a superhero white girl who is perfect in every other way, and she's just absolutely great, and everyone around her sucks. They're all lame. All the minority characters are garbage, And you have to wonder, it's like, did they watch the movie? Did they sit back and think, hey, this kind of looks bad that we have these minority characters playing up to this, white woman. I mean, you got Finn, and he's like, tap dancing around Ray trying to get a hold of her and stuff like that. I mean, it just boggles my mind how they didn't sit down and just didn't see this sort of stuff that anyone else can see.
Well, they were too focused. Remember, if we go back to J.J. Abrams one year at the Oscars, how he was surrounded by a room full of white people and this and that. They're trying to fix the world's problems through ways that don't fix the world's problems. When Kelly Marie Tran played Rose Tico, it didn't elevate anyone but her status and her bank account. These characters aren't doing anything for anybody of color or any minority. It's like, oh my God, we have a black guy in Star Wars. Well, guess what? Lando did it fucking 40 years ago almost. There's a woman in Star Wars. Princess Leia was there from the start. It's all hollow gesturing for these people. They think they're doing so well, or they're doing good for all these people out there with their messages in these movies, but they're just turning off a fan base and really pissing off customers. That's what this is at the end of the day, is a consumer revolt. This is just, the fandom menaces angry customers that are tired of being shit on. Like, we're being picked out and targeted no matter what color you are. Oh, you're angry white people, blah, blah, blah. I'm not white. I'm just pissed off at being called terrible things.
Yeah, and you would just think that people who are so woke wouldn't make stereotypes. You would think that you would get well thought out, fleshed out characters, but instead what you have is a stereotypical cowardly black man who is a space janitor who cannot help himself but chase the white girl, tries to manipulate her by using the robot to get him to hook up. And it's at the time where they're getting shot. That's what, I mean, I'm just sitting there watching. It's like, okay, you guys are getting shot at and stuff like that, and you're worried about getting laid? What the hell kind of character writing is that?
Well, that's a part of a bigger problem. That's why they bring in the race and they try to hide behind these new progressive ideals, because I could break down these movies for basic storytelling problems all day long. Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and Solo. I could even forego any kind of, I could not even mention Rey's gender, and I could still tear apart the character because of how poorly conceived and written and executed every aspect of those movies are. Lack of originality, lack of creativity. They just they're hiding behind that stuff so they can say, hey, we did this stuff and it's progressive. But I'm like, this is a problem in the movie. And no, you're just this. They've hurt themselves beyond repair at this point. I mean, it's only been 8 months since The Last Jedi has been out, and Star Wars interest is at an all-time low. And if they think, CGI and Carrie Fisher and cutting and pasting her head onto stuff is going to fix that and help us forget that, no. There's millions of people out there that are pissed off at this stuff. And I know you're one of them too. I mean, if you weren't angry, you wouldn't have found this channel and wanted to have this discussion right here tonight.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I only found you guys through the Star Wars thing. Before that, I just surfed YouTube just goofing off. But then after I seen The Force Awakens, I was just like, oh man, this movie is awful. It's like, I can't be the only one who dislikes this stuff. So I went on, found your guys' channel, started commenting and listening, started going back and listening to all your stuff. And it's like, man, I'm glad I'm not the only one who looks at entertainment and realize there's a problem with it. And the whole Carrie Fisher thing, honestly, I thought she would be the next sacrificial lamb for Rey. And I'm sure she probably will be, but she's dead now, so they're going to try to milk it for what it's worth. And I wouldn't doubt that someone like Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, and the rest, they're a little relieved that she had passed, sad to say, simply because it eases the burden on them, because then they can be like, oh, okay, hey, here, we're going to do this and this and that. It's all about Leia now.
Yeah, they've gone back and retroactively made the original trilogy Leia story. And you made a really good point. Now, I'm not making light of Carrie Fisher's death. I always liked Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia, but they're lucky she's gone, because she wouldn't put up with the bullshit. Like, Mark Hamill said stuff out in public. If she felt that way, they could never have her hold her tongue. She would say what she wants to say. She's always been like that. So we had 2 super chats pop up that I have to answer real quick. First from Tony Clark. Thank you very much, Tony Clark. SJWs don't have creative brain cells. They take what others have made, destroy what's for all, and move on. Parasites that segregate society. Thank you, Tony. I agree 100%. They do move on. Do you think they've moved on from Star Wars already, Ghetto Bible, or do you think that they're going to wait till Episode 9 comes out to try to push this more? Or do you think that they realize this is a lost cause trying to push this into Star Wars?
It's hard to say. I would say that they're going to wait and see how 9 is. If 9 does reasonably well financially, they'll probably stick around. And it depends what happens, if Kathleen Kennedy's fired or not. If she's canned, then I can see them sort of maybe drifting away. But the problem is that you have way too many of these people inside the entertainment industry. I mean, you could probably go in from top to bottom, from Kathleen Kennedy, the writers, producers. I mean, hell, their janitors are probably SJWs. So I don't know if they're going to go anywhere, but it could be that way. I couldn't say for sure. All I know is that we'll have to see after Episode 9 and what happens with this new Rian Johnson trilogy that supposedly is going to happen.
Never will. Never, ever is going to happen. Do you think they want another shitstorm like they've had for the last 8 months? Imagine, let's say a trilogy takes 9 years to complete. That is 9 years of anger and hatred towards Rian Johnson, because people are waking up towards this movie now. There are a lot of people that I've seen on other forums and places that are like, oh, The Last Jedi is great. And then I see the same screen name pop up and it's like, it wasn't as good the second time. Now I hate it. I don't watch Disney Star Wars movies, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to do it just for the fact that that's going to kill their brand name. Rian Johnson can make a Godfather-esque trilogy in the Star Wars universe, but he's already damaged the brand and his name holds no weight in that universe.
Yeah, and, him raging on the fans and stuff like that. But I'm going to be the devil's advocate for Rian Johnson here and say that I don't think that killing off Luke and all this other stuff was his ideas. To me, this sounds like Kathleen Kennedy. I wouldn't doubt that, Kathleen Kennedy approached him and said, hey, I need a director who has the balls to do things. I want these characters gone. And if you do this, since I'm Kathleen Kennedy, I'll give you a trilogy. And for Rian Johnson, he's like, yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to do that. But then when it backfired on him, he starts raging at the fans and stuff like that. And so I don't know. He seems like an asshole, to be honest. And
well, you just said Rian Johnson and balls in the same sentence. He doesn't have those. To me, he's a very weak man. He can't handle the criticism. Look at somebody like, I'm trying to think of a film. I hate to use this example, but at least Kevin Smith can take criticism. Like when people rip into his older movies, like they did back in the day, he's like, yeah, they weren't that good or whatever. He just let it roll off his back and he moves forward. The only time I really seen him fire back at people is when they attacked his daughter in the movie, which I get. You don't want anybody to make fun of your kids, so whatever. But Yoga Hosers is a terrible film. Even if you don't even bring his daughter into the critique of the movie, it's just a stupid made movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing out nepotism, especially if the actor's bad. But yeah, personal attacks on the kid, it's a little much for me.
Yeah, I never go for that, but I could say like, yeah, the daughter's not a very good actress or the movie's garbage. But with Rian Johnson, I mean, he has tried to insulate himself from criticism. He's got all these people in the industry trying to defend him, like Gary Whitta, the guy that co-wrote Rogue One. There's all this crap that's going on that just it stinks. It stinks of like an ulterior motive. And I think people are too smart nowadays with social media that people can point out things and people can pick it up and follow the connect the dots and stuff like that. And now people are more aware of what's going on. You can't get away with the PR media hype. The shill people are very easily identified, like the John Campions of the world. They're now, out of the Star Wars loop. When those kind of reviews come out for the next film, they're going to be very, very cautious, and people are going to be very aware of, well, let's look at what this person represents, and do they benefit? Are they here at this party? Blah, blah, blah. See, Disney and all the people that work at Lucasfilm would like to think, oh, the Star Wars Episode 8 hate and the Solo hate is going to be over. It's so long until the next time. They got to realize something. We've learned all their tactics over the last 8 months. We'll even go back to Episode 7. So over the last 3 years, we've learned all of their tactics. We've learned all of their posturing, all of their marketing tricks. Now we know what's going on. and they have to either up their game, or if they're going to be lazy again or complacent and try to pull the same shit, we're just going to ravage them. People aren't going to go see the movies. People are going to be able to call them out on social media. And the thing is, people now know what to say and what not to say to get their attention. You don't have to, fall under the false flag attack of Kelly Marie Tran. All you do is say, this is poorly made, blah, blah, blah. And if people constantly say it, it'll get some attention.
I completely agree. And, racial attacks on Miss Tran, that's unfortunate. But how many of those were bots and whatnot? I mean, we've seen so many false flags for this sort of thing where people go and do this sort of kind of stuff. And, there's always internet trolls. There's always people who are stirring the pot, always causing trouble and whatnot. They don't even care for the movies. They don't care about the franchises. They just see that people are saying, hey, Rose Tico's character sucks. So you're going to get these, bandwagon trolls and all these other people going on saying racial stuff to her. And, then they blame it on the fans. Like, oh, see, it's the fans doing this stuff. No, it ain't us. There's just no way you could be a fan of Star Wars and sit there and justify any sort of racist sort of stuff, because it goes against everything in Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars is already the most progressive entertainment brand already out there, and inclusive. Not even progressive, but inclusive, we'll say, because they were male, female, aliens, everything in between, and everybody had a character they could identify with. You don't have to, and this is a good way to jump into our next super chat from Idia Hugima. He says, but with Rose, Asian girls finally have someone to look up to, or so some have said. My goddaughters in Japan, 8, 10, and 12, disagree. They want someone cool and awesome, not some weird fifth wheel. She's definitely a weird fifth wheel who doesn't serve. I don't care if it was a robot, if it was a dude, if any character did the same shit in that role, I wouldn't like them. They just aren't interesting. And they ruin shit right in the middle of the action. It's like, oh, I got to save these space horses. Oh, there's just I can't get into it right now. I'm going to give myself a headache. What do you think about that, though, where they're using Rose Tico's identity to further whatever? Like, little Asian girls aren't necessarily looking up to her. What do you think about that, Super Chat?
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with that, because I think she was put in there just to try to entice the Chinese audience. But don't they realize the Chinese already have their own movies? They go and see their own stuff. I mean, I don't really understand who they thought they were going to get with Rose Tico. Not to mention she was a horrible character. If she would have been a great character, like let's say she would have been a great character and whatnot, then yeah, I could see how it draw in people because she was a great character. But simply slapping, an Asian sticker on some actress and then being like, oh, hey, like her because she's Asian. What the hell? Who the hell cares? I don't give a fuck if she's Asian or not. I don't care if someone looks like me in a movie. I just want to be able to relate with the character. That's it. I don't give a shit otherwise.
Thank you. Nobody in movies look like me. Doesn't mean I don't like tons and tons of characters. I look nothing like Iron Man. Love him. I look nothing like James Bond. My favorite movie character. I think their crusade for these inclusionary characters has actually gone against, like, you're making people identify as one thing and one thing only. People are more than that. Just because we look a certain way doesn't mean we think a certain way or act or feel a certain way. They've tried to put fans of every color in a box, and this is for you and this is for you, and it's very preachy and offensive. And I don't usually like to say I'm offended. I hate using those words because I feel like those are the words that people use to just bitch about something. But to me, to try to make someone just 3 or 4 traits is offensive, because everyone here in the chat, all 445 of you, well, 2 now, you're so many different things. And to be told by something, or told by someone else that you're these 5 things, is stupid. And Mareth Dealine, I got your super chat. Hello again. What did I miss? Well, by the time you sent this one, yeah, you hadn't missed too much. We've only been on the air for about 20 minutes or so. So thank you, Mareth Dealine. We also had, let's see who else popped up. Quite a few, actually. Don't want to forget anyone. Thank you to Mexi Man and Cheese. Welcome back. I went to buy Thor on 4K, and they want $30. Do you think they're raising prices so people don't buy physical anymore and just buy into streaming? I think 4K at $30 is kind of like the standard right now, because Blu-ray is usually 20 to 22. So I guess it's just a way to milk that little premium out of there. So $30 honestly seems to be the average price for a 4K disc. If you wait till Black Friday, like I will with all the Marvel movies, they're usually $7 to $10, and that includes Blu-ray and 4K. So if you guys ever want me to do a series on how to save money and buy geek merchandise and shit like that, let me know, because I know how to save $1, and I could teach you guys how to get everything on sale, and you get way more shit for your money. But to answer your actual question, I don't know if it's to get people into streaming solely. For me, streaming's nice, but I still want the physical disc because sometimes things go off streaming. License go away. Times are up. Like we're talking about in the video I'm working on now, the Star Wars streaming. They're not going to have the original trilogy on the new Disney streaming service. That takes away from some of the appeal to a lot of people. It's like, well, if I'm paying for this Disney streaming service and I want everything Star Wars and you won't have it for like 8 years, well, that just kind of takes some of the allure away from that streaming service. And I don't know. I always promote getting a physical copy. Plus, there's special features. Sometimes your bandwidth drops. Sometimes your audio quality drops. Those are just technical gaps that we haven't worked out fully yet in 2018. Maybe in 2028, when everyone has the best internet in the world, then it'll be a different situation. But until then, Jeff of World Class Bullshitter says physical. Let's see. Tony Clark, thank you again. SJWs aren't finished with Star Wars. Their ultimate goal is to disgrace George Lucas, kill off the last of the old cast, and clean up the Operation Flaccid Johnson. Kill off the last of the old cast is clean up Operation Flaccid Johnson. Sorry, okay. Right over my head. I don't think they'll allow Princess Leia to be killed off in any fashion because of their whatever they're pushing, man. They can't let Princess Leia go out. That's going to be their excuse to not allow, or not to say they don't have anything out against the original characters, and it's going to be their push for whatever, and it's stupid. She passed away. They should have let her blow up in The Last Jedi. It would have been a much better movement. Grand Inquisitor. Oh, one more, and I'll get back to you, Ghetto Bible. Grand Inquisitor says, not only did they take Finn, a janitor, he is assaulted by the 2 women he interacts with. Rey beats him with her phallus, and Rose tasers him. Thank you, the Grand Inquisitor. You're not wrong, dude.
Yeah, I completely agree with those sentiments. And, funny, I was thinking the same thing about Kathleen Kennedy and whatnot. Honestly, I always thought that Kathleen Kennedy, when she did this sort of thing, that she was probably the person in the background who had ideas, and I'm using those in quotations. And I wouldn't doubt she harassed them and stuff like, oh, it'd be cool if we did this and this. And they're like, yeah, that's nice, Kathleen. And they pat her on the head and go about their business. So as soon as she takes over, she's like, well, I'm going to show them. I'm going to be the female George Lucas. And then she puts out Rey and all this other. She was so focused on having this character Rey and whatnot that I don't think she actually looked at everything and said, that Star Wars is a collective of people, that you have all these great characters and whatnot. And I honestly think that Rey is a representation of what she thinks who she thinks should be taking over the Star Wars franchise. I think she's trying to shift it from being a guy's franchise in a way to being female. I think she wants to chase out everyone who doesn't agree with her and only have females and the people in I'll say the woke males who agree with her. It just seems like Rey is so overpowered, is such a Mary Sue that it's written like fan fiction, and it sounds like Kathleen Kennedy's fan fiction. The whole Force is female sort of stuff, points this out. Yeah, it's stupid. It's like, why would you say the Force is female? The Force is just everything. It's everyone. So why would you specifically give it a gender? See, that sort of provocative crap is her trying to, scoot everyone else out and bring in the people that she likes. I mean, basically, she's just a narcissist who's trying to make the franchise all about her and show up George Lucas. I think by having these progressive ideas, she thought that she would one-up George Lucas and she would create this whole new franchise that would, completely shit on the original trilogy. And that's why she went with Rey and all this progressive crap, and why these movies are so filled with nostalgia at the same time because she's trying to basically rewrite history.
Well, there's just one problem. She's not any good at any of the creative aspects of it. And if she was really truly great at this, she'd be able to trick people into accepting these characters. But it's so ham-fisted. From the moment episode 7 debuted, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And it's been so obvious to so many people. And thankfully, the last movie came out and woke more people up to this. It's funny, we made fun of the woke mafia or these woke fans out there. Well, we have awoken and seen their bullshit, and it's just not catching on. Like you said, this was her attempt to make Star Wars different from Lucas and help it move on forever into the future. But it already worked because it was like the modern day fairy tale that everybody seemed to gravitate towards and identify with. Now it's so weird and segregated and segmented. It's like, well, this is for these type of people, and this is this, and this is that. And it's like, and then you cause division within the fan base where there's infighting, and it just tears it all apart. It's stupid. You know, before it was you like the originals or the prequels, but then the Clone Wars would come out, and everybody liked that. And like, well, then maybe I'm a little softer towards this. So it kind of helped people accept what Lucas did later on down the road. Now with this shit, it just nobody was a winner.
No, we're all losers here. The only people who win are the people who don't care and the people who are just pushing ideology. It's not about having a good franchise or anything like that. It's just simply about getting their message out. So they'll sit there and they'll be like, they'll pat themselves on the back and say, hey, you know, we got our message out. We won. You guys lost. And, you know, to bring up the representation, all that stuff before, it's why it's just annoying to see that sort of stuff where they segment and segregate everybody. I kind of got irritated with Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers when he had that conversation with Boyega. And when Boyega brought up like, hey, you don't know me, and Jeremy kind of capitulated and said, you know, I don't know you, blah, 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 let's have a conversation. I like those words, but at the same time, he should have said, yeah, I don't know you, but that doesn't stop you guys or your cast, Kathleen Kennedy, from calling the fandoms racist and all this other sort of stuff. You know, why is it, you know, Boyega saying, okay, hey, you can't say this because you don't know me, but then they turn around and they're calling us racist and sexist and whatever ist and ism they can think of to hurl at us. And when we look at Boyega, I really don't know why anyone really cares for this guy. He's a king dog SJW. He's gone on record talking about how he won't watch Lord of the Rings and other bullshit because there's not enough representation for black people in there. And so he's not going to support anything that doesn't have enough people that look like him in there. Man, if that's the case, I might as well just stop watching entertainment because there isn't many people that look exactly like me or, you know, my ethnic makeup or any of that stuff. In fact, no one should watch any sort of entertainment because you can't fit everyone into a single movie or a franchise. The whole point of character work and developing characters is so people from everyone can identify with that sort of person. This whole representation crap, I won't watch this if there's not X number of black people or Hispanics or gay people or this and that. Well, you're going to end up with the movie with that just caters to nobody because it's just focused solely on coloring the screen with people's various desires for what they want to see on it.
Yeah, it turns me off, man. Story's paramount. If they were able to put out a fantastic story, like our podcast is diverse, but you know what? We don't sit and go, oh, you know, we're a great podcast because we have this many different people of different color. No, we just have a unique take on entertainment, and no one really gives a shit what color we are. We're a voice. That's what we are. It's just a voice. We're not a skin color. That's what they need to focus on. Putting out great content that appeals to everybody, that's well written. This, you know, you don't get brownie points from your average everyday person. And I almost said everyday American, but no, people across the world, the Chinese don't buy this stuff up. People from all over the world don't buy this shit. You got to have a good story first. You don't get points like Proud Mary. Nobody went and saw that movie. Why? Because it probably was marketed poorly and looked preachy and dumb. Nobody cared that it was Taraji P. Henson in the lead. It wasn't that people were angry with black women in action roles. No, that wasn't the case. It was just dumb and boring and derivative of other movies. Was Red Sparrow that big of a hit? The last one I can think of that was a big hit was Lucy or Salt. The other ones aren't really hitting it the way that these female-led action flicks aren't working like that. It's just sometimes people don't like certain things, and then they try to blame other things as the reason they fail.
Well, oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to read the super chat from Ref Dialine. First off, thank you. The way Rey was handled, she reminds me of Korra from Nickelodeon's The Legend of Korra. That's the Airbender show, right? The sequel to that. Do you know Ghetto Bible?
I only seen a couple episodes, but I know the character that you're talking about.
Tell me a little bit about it, because I have no clue. I just know people call it The Legend of Korra or Horror as a joke, but I have no clue what it is actually.
It's after the whole Airbender thing. She's kind of like a SJW sort of Mary Sue. I mean, the show's okay. I guess in the end she ends up being a lesbian or something like that. So I don't know. The show is for what I've seen, it's decent. I really can't talk too much about it because I haven't seen the whole series of Korra. But yeah, there's been people who have issues with her whole thing. I guess they were kind of ham-fisted with the whole thing. But yeah, that's just how it is.
To the people out there, Atomic Blonde and Colombiana. Colombiana was terrible. I went to see it in theaters. What was that, like 7 years ago? I'd like my money back. It wasn't very good. And then Dio Brando says, first off, thank you, Dio Brando. Favorite or female lesbian airbender? Oh, okay. I didn't even do Avatar: The Last Airbender. I haven't had cable, honestly, in like a decade or so, if not more. And before that, when I was in high school, I wasn't watching a lot of cartoons. Watched too much wrestling. But anyway, that's a story for another time. Yeah, I was reading some of this stuff. And by the way, everyone that's asking what they missed, we've been on. This is about an hour chat tonight. Our friend Ghetto Bible is a patron of the channel, and he requested to come on here and have this discussion. So thank you to everyone who's listening. So Ghetto Bible, did you have any more points you want to keep elaborating on the Star Wars thing? It's your show, man.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to, I think that when it comes to these new movies, that I think Kathleen Kennedy's seen, Luke, Han, probably even Leia's threats to Rey's character. I think that's the whole reason why they've been shoved aside and whatnot and completely shit on. And when you have that sort of stuff happening, fans are going to react to it. So instead of, making Luke look good and stuff like that and maybe fixing the characters, she just, doubles down and it's just like, she has Rian Johnson kill off Luke in a really terrible way. She basically the whole series that's coming up is just all about Rey and how awesome she is. And it's just, oh God, it's just killing the franchise. It's just awful. When I go back and watch the original trilogy, you have the various characters that are great. Leia's a tough woman. She's badass. She's completely great. You have Han. His lines, carry so much in the movie that it's wonderful. When you have Luke and stuff was identifiable, and I think that's what Kathleen Kennedy was trying to do with Rey, is make this identifiable character, but it only appealed to, didn't appeal to anybody. Maybe flat-chested brunettes. I don't know.
Just her, really.
Yeah. So it just seems like they went out of their way to do this for Kathleen Kennedy's own personal sort of movie. I mean, basically, she's probably the only one who sits down with a bowl of popcorn and enjoys this sort of stuff. That's pretty much it.
Well, all the female characters in the new Disney Star Wars movies all look the same. First off, Kira looks like Rey, looks like Jyn Erso, looks like kind of like Padme-ish. I don't know. They all just look the same. It's very homogenized and boring. But the big problem is Kathleen Kennedy's not a creative person. George Lucas was. Yes, he needed people to fix Star Wars, like that video from what's his name? Oh God, I can't think of it. Marcelo Zuniga or something like that. Star Wars was fixed in the editing process, and you had so many people working and caring about the movie. And even if we couldn't want to critique this stuff based solely on technical gaffes, The Last Jedi has technical issues. It has that scene where the Praetorian Guard's arm is CGI'd out because Daisy Ridley couldn't fight properly. Or even if she could do the choreography properly, it was Rian Johnson's failure as a filmmaker. I just don't know why these people can't accept any kind of accountability, which is a good question to ask. Every other genre or every other thing in the world is like you're held accountable for your failures. With Hollywood, we'll just use entertainment in general. It's like, hey, no, I didn't make a mistake. The fans made a mistake. And now we're in this era of blaming the fans, and the fans aren't going to put up with it. There are so many things that these people can go out and watch. Game of Thrones, cartoons. You can watch shit on streaming services. You can go watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe yourself. You don't have to watch Star Wars. It's not the only game in town anymore. And I think that's another thing that's hurting Star Wars. They've picked the worst time to put these ideals into their franchise. They should have done this shit if they had to. They shouldn't have done it now, and you're trying to come out and reintroduce Star Wars to a whole new generation, because the fun and the spectacle of Star Wars is no longer there. It's not, oh, you get to see the explosions in these crazy alien worlds. You get that shit like every other week on TV now. And then the Marvel movies blow them out of the water with interconnected stories and long-form stuff. I mean, for somebody like me, I waited 10 years for Infinity War, and I was not disappointed. With Star Wars, it's like, please get through this trilogy and kill the franchise for a decade. Mareth Dioline, thank you for your super chat. Master of 3 elements at age 4 with no training, but at least she gets beaten often. I assume you're talking about The Legend of Korra. And then we had Tony Clark again. Thank you very much, Tony. BBC Finn is the boss in episode 9. Mary Sue and Shotika will be pregnant after the opening crawl with Ace of Spade tattoos. Progressive. Oh my god.
Might as well with that would go with the idea, because I don't really know what they're doing with Finn, and when you look at it, yeah, you're absolutely right about Rey and them all looking like clones. I mean, maybe they're the leftover clones from from the thing. The Clone Wars is really just just thousands of Reys throughout the galaxy. Could you imagine if they did that? They just clone Rey and then she's just everywhere, and they just destroy the whole universe. That's the end of the trilogy.
Sounds like an episode of Rick and Morty, to be honest.
Thinking not to get off topic, but I know you were. I can't remember. There's someone on your thing who was railing on Ron Howard, and I just thought about it. But there's a show called Frankenhole, and there's an episode where Ron Howard he can't sexually get satisfied anymore, so he goes through time with Dr. Frankenstein, and it's a kind of this paradox because he goes back in time and molests himself as a teenager or something. It's just completely crazy, but I don't know why, but just think of the clone thing just brought that up because it was just a universe full of Ron Howards. I wonder who would win, a universe full of Ron Howards or a universe full of Reys?
Well, at least a universe full of Ron Howards would have had like different levels of quality. Like if you don't like, here's the thing, Rey can do one thing, stare blankly at the screen. Ron Howard could be Opie or Richie Cunningham. He could make movies. So I think a universe full of Ron Howards would at least be interesting because there's a decent storyteller in there somewhere.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, I don't know what Rey Daisy really kind of reminds me of, like, she's like a Kristen Stewart. It's just that blank, plain Jane look, just that like it just looks like they're not ever there. I don't know, and also I don't know why all the women look the same. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you think that they're trying to get that Twilight audience in, so they get someone that's very reminiscent of Kristen Stewart, and they're trying to get that audience in there by giving them that same charisma or lack thereof?
Oh man, thinking about it, yeah. I mean, that could definitely be a thing. All I know is that I don't care how attractive or unattractive someone is. Just give me a good character. But when you look at it, I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, why didn't they show Poe a lot during the first movie? And it's like, well, they don't want him overshadowing Rey. It's like, why did they make Finn such a garbage character, and why did they hire Boyega, this doughy guy, to play a stormtrooper? I mean, do they even work out as stormtroopers? I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense to me. But then I thought to it myself, and I said, hey, you know what? It's all just to make Rey look better. That's what it all comes down to. It's just, could you imagine? I know you don't like Michael B. Jordan, but let's say, yeah, Michael B. Jordan as a stormtrooper or death trooper or whatever. He's an elite guy. He goes down there. He ends up leaving the First Order, not because he's a coward or anything, but because his friend dies, and then he ends up getting told that stormtroopers mean nothing. So he ends up figuring out, like, hey, they're sacrificing us for something that we thought was, something to be worth believing in, and we're just fodder. He ends up leaving. Now, if you have this sort of badass, sort of stormtrooper going around doing stuff, nobody's going to care about Rey. And I think that's what Kathleen Kennedy realized, that if you have any sort of character that's any good, that they're going to completely outshine Rey. And she couldn't allow that. So she only wanted people who would be considered less attractive than Rey, and any characters that are any sort of cool, they have to be knocked down a bunch. I mean, look at Poe in The Last Jedi, when he's just completely shit on, and he's made to look like a complete idiot when it was his moment to shine, and still it was about Rey.
I have gone on record to say how much I dislike Michael B. Jordan, but at least the dude has charisma and acting chops, so why not him? I mean, they gave John Boyega the Americanized accent. Michael B. Jordan proved his worth to me in Black Panther, even if you don't love Black Panther, and I'm not saying you should. But he actually did something that entertained me. John Boyega, I had seen him in one thing called Attack the Block. Didn't like him. I think you have bad casting on top of bad story ideas. And maybe if you would have had stronger actors, okay, the reason I think Star Wars works so well too is Harrison Ford questioned George Lucas. People questioned George Lucas all the time back in the day. Now people are like, oh my God, I'm in a Star Wars movie. I have to do this and that. This is the biggest thing of my career. Reality, it's really not that big a thing for their career. Like, so many of these other actors will move on to other things. Like Oscar Isaac will be known for other things outside of Poe Dameron. Maybe not Daisy Ridley, but at least John Boyega has been in Pacific Rim and a couple other things, so he'll have a career. You just need these people to be like, hey, I don't think this is a good storytelling idea, instead of just going along with the machine.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Boyega, he has done other stuff. I thought he was bad in Pacific Rim, but at least he's getting work. But yeah, if you add in let's say you replace Boyega with Michael B. Jordan, that dude, and you have a good character, a badass stormtrooper, he takes over the franchise. Rey takes a back seat. Nobody would give a shit about Rey. People would be focusing on Poe and Finn. That would be it. And that's not going to happen on Kathleen Kennedy's watch. There's no way she's going to let any sort of male character, take over. And it's not because people would be biased. It's not like a bunch of guys who'd be like, hey, I'm only going to like these characters because they're male. No, it's because Rey's a shit character, And yeah, they need better actors. I mean, man, I see these British people on there and they talk about how great British actors are. And then I look at Daisy, I look at Boyega, I'm like, man, really? God, couldn't you have got some good ones? I mean, this is why we fought the War of Independence, to free ourselves from the British and their bad actors. I mean, goddamn, George Washington, he got tired of showing up to these sorry-ass theaters with these garbage British actors. I mean, there was probably Kathleen Kennedy's back then, so that's the real reason why we fought the war. Get these damn redcoats off my screen. Just get them off. We got to get them out of Hollywood. No, I'm just messing around, but seriously, get some good acters. Jesus, is it that hard? I mean, you got thousands of people wanting to be actors, and yet you picked the worst lot of the bunch, And then I don't understand why they gave Boyega an American accent for. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Nothing they did casting-wise made any sense.
No, it goes to show you how quick they are with their decisions. Like, I got This Week in Star Wars coming back. It's an old video I did twice to see if it, to test out the waters, giving it a third try. But the Disney streaming service, they sold off those rights to the original Star Wars back in 2016. but they've claimed they've had this foresight to do the streaming service all along. There are so many things that prove that they just pull shit out of their ass last minute because I don't know. What's the reason? They have all this money at Disney. They should have a really long, really long pre-production process. They're pumping out a trilogy in the same amount of time that, let's see, yeah, it would have been 4 years. So Lucas only put out 2 movies in the same time that they put out 3. Actually, they put out 5 movies in the time he put out 2. So, yeah, that's right? Yeah. They shouldn't be pumping these things out. They need to take their time. They should have gone back and recast. Really, Daisy Ridley has no charisma. If you want to promote a strong female lead, you got to have somebody with charisma. There are women out there that have way more charisma than her. She is a blank slate. She is boring, unless that's part of the plan, like we talked about earlier with Kristen Stewart. Now, Dio Brando sent in a super chat that says, Bender is also a slang for gay in the UK. I was not aware of that because I've never been to the UK. We also had another super chat from, was it just Mexi Man and Cheese? Was he the next one? Let's see. Yeah, sorry, folks. These are really scrolling. The chat's going crazy tonight. Mexi Man and Cheese says, Ray and Jen Urso both look like Kathleen Kennedy before she hit the wall. Oh, man. I don't know. Felicity Jones, way better looking than ever Kathleen Kennedy was. So, have you ever seen that picture of Kathleen Kennedy from back in the day? On the set of Jurassic Park?
I try not to look at her picture. I mean, I'm always aware. I'm always afraid that if you look at her too long, that she'll, melt your mind.
Oh, like Bloody Mary? Or look in the mirror and say Biggie Smalls 3 times?
Yeah, exactly.
My biggest complaint with her, she was a money person. She dealt with the money. Cool. Deal with the money, Kathleen. Go make money for other people and let the creative people take the reins.
I think so too. Like I said, I think she was going around bothering them, being like, George, I got a great idea for a character. Her name is Ray, and she's a Mary Sue, and she'll be so awesome. Maybe she could be Luke's sister. Maybe she could be the one who teaches him about the Force.
See, by belittling these old characters, you just piss off people on a primal level, which you don't want to do, guys. You don't want to do. You want to have as much goodwill within the fan base when you're making a return or you're charting new waters. You don't want to try something crazy and different and subversive when you don't have the longevity proven with your new version of the franchise.
Yeah, precisely. And yeah, I completely agree. Jen Urso, Ray, all of them, they all look alike. And yeah, I think it was, like I said, I seriously believe these characters are based on Kathleen Kennedy's own idea of putting herself into Star Wars. I think I think the whole trilogy that's coming up is about her personally. I don't think it's about anyone else or about the franchise itself or anything like that. I really do believe that these are representations of herself on screen, and that she thought that she's such a wonderful person that we would all love it,
Well, it's an audience of one. And unless she's going to provide billions of dollars to Star Wars herself, she needs to really take a look at how she's operating. Now, 6 turning 4 burning, thank you for your super chat. There are very few Charlton Hestons and Richard Burtons these days. Also, a few Liz Taylors, too. You need some classic actors that, can bring something to the table. You have some comedic actors that can do that, and then you have very few movie stars. Mako Rex also sent in a super chat. Thank you for your generous super chat. Ever wonder how Colin Trevorrow would have done episode 9? Newest Jurassic film wasn't as good, but he didn't go out of his way to attack fans as sexist or racist for criticizing him. See his Twitter. Have you seen the new Jurassic Park movie, Ghetto Bible?
Yeah, I have. I didn't think it was that good, but, they're absolutely right. Nobody got attacked in the movie and stuff like that. I think the problem with the new Jurassic Park movie, it was trying to be both a horror movie and, kind of like a Jurassic Park movie. I mean, look, just either give me a Jurassic Park movie with Chris Pratt and his raptor solving mysteries or fighting aliens or some shit. I don't care. Or give me a Jurassic Park that's a horror movie. Mixing this stuff together, it doesn't work. I will say that they did have an annoying British girl in there who kind of looked like Rey. I'm just like, so I'm thinking there must be some cloning vat out in Hollywood that's just popping these people out. I don't know where they're coming from, or they're pod people. I don't know.
There's almost like this weird, like, what is that movie that Stanley Kubrick did before he died? Eyes Wide Shut, like weird cult like cabal. It's just like, hey, everyone's got to look the same and do this shit. It's like, what? And then you think like I sound crazy, but then if everything's the same, there's just too many cases for this to be a coincidence. Like there has to be either some mandate in Hollywood or some reason why they're doing this. Like, I don't know. Entertainment goes deeper than just what's on the surface. If you were to go look at how they do research and case studies and what's the thing I'm looking for? Not that demographic things. Well, they'll do like studies to see like who watches what, how they consume it, how to get more people to do this. There's like some weird studies they do for all these movies and shit too. Movies just aren't, creative ideas anymore. There are so many different layers to how they get made. And I guess, generic white British woman with dark hair is at the top of that list.
Well, someone should be fired for that sort of research because these people don't draw, but I do know, or at least I have a theory as to why they push it. They push these plain Janes, this sort of like clones, because they're trying to appeal to the average female. What they're trying to do is they put these rather plain looking women on there, and not to say Daisy's unattractive or anything, but she's average, and that's what they want. They want women to go into there, women and girls to go in there and be like, hey, that girl looks like me. So, and she's portrayed as a 10 on the screen. So therefore I must be a 10 because I look like her. So therefore I must buy stuff and try to be like her. I mean, it's kind of like if you ever watched, you ever seen any shows where you have like, this even applies to guys, but you ever seen those shows where they have like a fairly unattractive woman, but she snags this Chris Hemsworth type of guy and whatnot, and that's who they're trying to appeal to, because women are the largest, most spending demographic when it comes to entertainment and whatnot, and so that's who they're trying to bring in. So that's who they're trying to appeal to by putting on Daisy Ridley's, Kristen Stewart's, and all this other stuff.
Oh, when I studied advertising at Michigan State, they told us straight up, like, commercials, they gear them towards women because they're the largest consuming base like that. Fine. I get it. I get, where you'll go as a business, you go where the money is. But at the same time, it's the money's not there with Star Wars. They're doing it in the Star Wars universe and they're losing the fans. It's not like it's just me bitching, into a hole for 5 years while these movies are making more, and the toys are the best-selling things and all this crap. No, it's people are awake to this shit, and the stuff sits on store shelves for years, and the movies don't do the same numbers. I mean, somebody sent me a picture from a Kroger not that long ago of The Last Jedi Blu-ray on clearance. I'm like, really? I've never seen them clearance out movies on Blu-ray at Kroger. But my point is, I get it when they go for business, but this isn't business. This is something else. This is beyond business ideals, and I can't put my finger on it. I don't think most people can put their finger on it. And by the way, Mongo Ventura says the thumbnail looks great, by the way, so I think that's a compliment for you, Ghetto Bible, with your rabbit Ewok.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
And then Thunder Robot says, let's sue the Lucasfilm for calling us names. I don't know if we can sue them for that, but what we can do is we can hit them where it hurts and let them know that, hey, the reason episode 9 failed was for many reasons, and one of them being you called me terrible names.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they're fighting with us on this sort of stuff, but it's sort of been a thing lately where Hollywood, they're trying to simply blame the fans for failings and whatnot, and it's just completely bullshit. I don't know what they're trying to do with this. They're not going to win in the long run. We're the consumers, and when it comes to Star Wars, I think what they're trying to do is expand their base. I think they were trying to get a bunch of females to be in there so they could milk everyone for money, because they figured, well, we have these guys buying toys and whatnot. If we can get females to come in on this, then they'll buy a bunch of stuff like that too. But there's difference. Males and females have general differences in what they like and taste and stuff like that. There's plenty of female Star Wars fans. Not saying that there isn't, but if you're trying to bring in your average woman who likes Twilight and stuff like that, no, it's not going to work by having Rey and piss poor romance angles and representation or trying to go woke. It doesn't work.
No. And Mr. Free says, thank you for Mr. Free for your super chat. Will they figure out Sandpaper Alliance? Wait. Well, I guess I'll say, will they figure out Sandpaper Alliance butt in pork chop panties is better than insulting the fans? I'm going to say, well, they figure Sandpaper. Never mind. You guys got that one. Well, Sandpaper Alliance butt in pork chop panties is better than insulting the fans. I don't get that one at all, but thank you. Here's an interesting one, though. It's they say that plain-looking actresses are more about ensuring women don't feel threatened by their beauty. Men see a mountain, a peak, and strive to reach it. Women change the definition of peak. I know that when I see Thor and all these movies, I don't get bothered by it. I'm like, I should just hit the gym more. Especially when I see like The Rock in these movies, I'm like, I can do that, and want to better myself. I don't know why people get so insecure about what's on a movie or what's in a movie. It's a fictional fantasy. I don't get jealous that Iron Man's smarter than me and can fly in his metal suit. To me, that's the same thing.
Yeah, that chat's absolutely right. It is so that they don't feel insecure and whatnot about seeing overly beautiful women that they can't be like. For me, if I see someone like Chris Hemsworth or Harrison Ford, Brad Pitt, Billy D. Williams back in the day, I would love to be those guys, that's just me. I'd be like, man, if I look like that, that'd be great. I don't get offended by it or anything. I don't look like that, but that's okay. It's all about fantasy. It's like, man, it would be cool to be like that,
Yeah, 100%. Like I brought up the Iron Man example because I'm looking at a Marvel Studios figure right here. I'm thinking to myself, what a cool fantasy world to live in. Like, oh man, the Avengers are going to protect the Earth from an alien invasion. It's all not real. Let's not overthink that, guys. Back in the day, you had these stars, both male and female, that were, 1 in a million people that looked like that. You're plain Jane every day, like you're Seth Rogen. He's funny for what he is, but he doesn't have that star quality. Most people don't have that star quality, and that's why some of these movies don't really reach the same appeal. Like the Marvel people all have that star quality. They're, perfect looking people with perfect teeth and perfect bodies and all that shit. And those movies make tons and tons of money. Maybe it's a reflection of the superficial nature of humankind, but that's not a problem when it's a fantasy world that we're paying to watch on screen.
Yeah, and that's all it is a fantasy. I don't know why people are getting so hung up on the fact, well, that person doesn't look like me, so I don't want to watch it. Oh no, I want someone who looks exactly like me. Man, I don't want to see someone who looks like me on the screen. I'm out of shape and whatnot. I couldn't imagine me being on screen trying to play some sort of superhero. At least if I'm going to have a fantasy about superheroes and whatnot, then I want to see someone who looks like perfection, because that's, to me, is exactly what would a superhero be, is someone who stands out, someone who looks like, man, these people could tear shit up. I don't want someone who looks like me, because there's already plenty of people who look like me. I don't need to see that on the screen. I mean, who the hell cares? If I want to see someone that looks like me, I'll just walk outside or go to a crowded mall. If I want to see something great or see these people like something larger than life characters, then I'm going to go to a movie, And
that's what they took away from Star Wars too. When I talk about the spectacle, they've said, oh, I wanted to make it look like, our own world. It's a galaxy far, far away. If anything, I want to see like 4 people and mostly aliens. I don't care if they're 2 women and 2 men, or 3 men and a woman, 3 women and a man. The universe needs to be more diverse and not trying to reflect what some insecure people in entertainment that don't have anything to say, so they parrot the ideals of other people with similar haircuts and who are equally poor as them. Grendel Fan 84 says, good evening from Comics Elite. How much apologizing / backtracking, if any, do you think the Lucasfilm leadership will make to the fans? You know what, Ghetto Bible? I want you to answer that one first.
Oh, geez. What we're going to see is before the movie comes out, they're going to talk about how they love the fans. They'll probably see fan appreciation bullshit, and Kathleen Kennedy, if she's still around, will be releasing, oh, we love our fans, and oh, we're so good. They'll be doing like WWE bullshit with their pandering and whatnot. And when it comes down to it, though, that's what they're gonna do. But before then, I don't expect nothing. We haven't heard too much from the Star Wars camp or their actors and stuff like that. I think they're gonna start gagging all of their actors and writers and stuff like that because they get exposed on a daily basis. They come out looking like assholes. But yeah, they're gonna definitely capitulate to the fans before the movie comes out. They're gonna try to kiss our asses, and they're gonna be, please, please come see our movie. It's gonna be so great. We promise you'll like it. But it's all smoke and mirrors and a pile of bullshit.
Yeah, I bet they're going to try to make the not fan access, Star Wars Celebration be a very fan-friendly thing. I think they have some Star Wars fan awards that are out this year or currently on the Star Wars Facebook page. They're promoting fan art, this, that. They're trying to salvage their community, but you can't unsay the things that have been said. And there are digital records of everything that have been said. It's not like, oh, I accidentally said something terrible when I was drinking and I apologize. It's like, no, you were interviewed by multiple sources. Places picked this up across the world. You got to eat your words now, J.J. Abrams. Like, we're not intimidated by women because we don't like the movies. We just don't like bad movies. So to answer Grendel Fan 84's question from Comics Elite, I will say it's going to take a lot more than they'll do. You'll get one or I don't think you'll get anything publicly from Kathleen Kennedy until it's her resignation speech. Once you hear that, oh, I'm sorry for this or that, maybe, or she'll just go take it down with her in flames. But you'll never hear it from Rian Johnson. A sincere apology from Rian Johnson. Hell, you may hear something from Ron Howard, who didn't really even do anything wrong. You may hear an apology from him before you'll hear it from anybody else out there, especially goddamn JJ.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get direct apologies from anybody. I think what they'll do is just say, we appreciate the fans and stuff, but they won't apologize for their actions or what they've done or anything like that. They'll just pretend that it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's really not hard to apologize. Like, if you mess up, say, hey, I messed up, sorry. And most people can understand because we're all people. Now, I think we hold the people of Star Wars in different regard because these are corporately allowed answers. I bet you there are emails or text messages or faxes or memos, however they contact each other, that allow these type of things. You notice they try to antagonize the fans constantly with like little subversive messages or hidden messages. Like in the Star Wars show, they had the picture of Luke Skywalker's face crossed out, or the fanboys' tear mugs, or all that other dumb shit. Like, they keep trying to antagonize us and make fun, say, oh, they're so dumb, they'll buy anything we put out, but then we won't. Like, they need to be taught a lesson. Now, Twistle of Mobius says, Plain Rays, good name for these generic actresses. I can use those. And the Plain Rays sounds like the worst opening band ever. I agree, 100%. Real Captain Marvel says, just wait until the Captain Marvel shitstorm. What do you think about that one, Ghetto Bible?
Oh, God, man. Oh, jeez. Oh, that, man, what can I not say about that? I mean, geez, you got Brie Larson, who is a massive idiot. I mean, the only one who's probably more of a woke idiot than her is Anne Hathaway, and they're both fucking idiots. But, man, it's just going to be a complete shit show. I mean, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping the movie's good. I'm hoping the action's great. But, the moment anyone says, the movie is okay, they're going to be hitting you with everything. You're going to have Brie Larson, everyone going up on Twitter just talking about how, this is like Star Wars, this is like, Rose Tico, Kelly Marie Tran, all this bullshit. They just hate us because we're women. They don't like Captain Marvel because, she's a woman and all this other crap. I mean, there's a storm of brewing, and I don't know who's going to be the first one to fire the first shot, but it's definitely going to be a complete shit show when Captain Marvel hits. I mean, if the movie's great, it won't really happen. It'll be a few things here and there. They'll try to bully anyone who critiques the movie if it's a good movie. But man, if that movie is bad, then, oh geez, you're just going to have a gigantic shitstorm, something like we may have never seen in our previous lifetimes.
We're gonna watch Hollywood fall apart from their own hubris and ego.
Oh yeah, it'd be like the LA riots, except it'll be instead of the Rodney King thing, it'll be about Captain Marvel.
Well, six turning four burning sent in a super chat that says SJWs are projecting their insecurities. You are 100% right, my friend. Let's see. Michael Rodriguez says, "What about Gal Gadot? She wasn't she Miss Israel?" Yeah. Well, Gal Gadot. I was actually. It's funny you bring this up, Michael. When we were talking about the everyday things like the plain Ray actresses, I was thinking to myself, and I'm a guy. I was thinking the Marvel women are all relatively pretty hot, and traditionally in that traditional sense, certain body types, this, that, and the other things guys like, some girls like too. My point is they're more glamorized. I was even thinking over in the DC universe, most of their actors are like mostly pretty people. Ben Affleck, women like him. He's in good shape. Henry Cavill in good shape. Gal Gadot, hot. Like all the actors and actresses over there in these comic book movies do look like idealized versions of what's on the page and screen. So I do agree with your statement about Gal Gadot being, or Gadot, however you pronounce it, model, soldier, actress, all that stuff. She fits that old school appeal. I don't know how you feel about her, Ghetto Bible.
I wasn't a huge fan of her casting until I seen her. And the one thing I'll say about her is I think she's attractive. But she has charisma. She's charming. She's very sweet. She brings a different aspect to Wonder Woman that you don't really see in the animated series and whatnot, where in the animated series she's more of like a strong woman and whatnot. With Gal, she's strong, but she also has this innocent side to her where she tries to see the best in everybody and whatnot, and it just comes off it comes off relatable, it comes off charming. And so Gal, she just seems like a very nice person. And so I think that shows through with her character as Wonder Woman. So I'm a real big fan of her. And I know, what do you call it, Ezra Miller tried to get her on camera to fight the patriarchy and stuff like that. And Gal didn't have none of that. She just said she was just against people who would hate her because she's like a woman or whatever. And so I think that she is someone that should be, shown on screen. I think that she's definitely an attractive woman. She's just all around a great person, and I think it shows through with the whole character. And I think that's why Wonder Woman is probably one of their better characters, especially with how the DC universe is going. So yeah, I definitely say Gal is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the point about her in the interviews too. She seems fun. She doesn't seem adversarial. Brie Larson just presents herself in a very poor way. And I don't get why these people think if you present yourself in a poor manner that you're going to get anything but people not liking you. I mean, if I met every fan in this chat right now and I presented myself as an asshole, you'd all think I'm an asshole. And then if I got mad that you treated me like an asshole, it's only my fault. So if Brie Larson antagonizing people this early on, and then you're going to get the media that tries to antagonize these people early on, you're just going to hurt yourselves. Wonder Woman was an example of, yeah, the media is going to try some shit, but the movie didn't have it in it. And then Gal Gadot was funny and charming and charismatic and everything right, and very warm, if you will. She doesn't come off as trying to be like, well, I need to be better than a dude type of thing. She's just Wonder Woman, and she's her own thing. And the movie was a hit. And if anyone ever tries to say, fans are sexist and they don't want to let women succeed in these roles, we can pull out Wonder Woman and be like, yo, Wonder Woman was a hit, and nobody was called anything but, we enjoyed it or we didn't like it. I thought it was a fine movie, 7 out of 10. It doesn't get a pass as a 10 out of 10 because it's, a female-led DC flick. That'd be like me saying Supergirl's a great movie. It's not. It's a terrible flick. So same with Catwoman. So I think, we were pretty fair here on the channel about that. And then Thunder Robot said, what happened to Finn being a second Jedi that they set up in Force Awakens with the end lightsaber battle and implied at the beginning? What do you think about that, Ghetto Bible?
Honestly, I don't know if they ever really had any plans to do that. I mean, maybe they did, but like I said before, when it comes to Rey, no one's going to outshine her, and I don't really think they're going to have a second Jedi sort of situation, because I think in Kathleen Kennedy's mind, Finn could outshine Rey. She's afraid that the males would be like, screw this female Jedi, give us, Finn. I thought those scenes were a little strange because I didn't know what they were doing with that sort of thing. But I just don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure 100% because it kind of seems like they teased it, but that's all it was a tease. And I don't see them turning Finn into a Jedi. Quite frankly, if he was going to be a Jedi, they should have just done it in the Force Awakens rather than waiting till now if they're going to do it.
Yeah, it's too late. I mean, Disney Star Wars is too little too late. The money was there. They got the nostalgia. Well, boom. They're both sucked out now, like Princess Leia from that ship. And you can't subvert our expectations or get us hooked on these characters. It's been 3 years of just garbage. And by the way, a lot of people are saying that they're liking this Saturday or Sunday night chat, especially Richard. If you guys would like me to possibly, I can't guarantee it all the time, but since there's no Good Morning Pop Culture on Mondays, would like an end of the weekend type of hangout chat like this be good? Press F or type muff if you're a Good Morning Pop Culture fan in the chat below. And if there's a lot of people interested, we're having great numbers this whole chat, probably because Ghetto Bible's pretty damn cool and has a great icon and a lot of questions and stuff to bring up. But we can make that happen. Like I said, I'm wherever you guys want me to be, I'll be there. Dio Brando, thank you for a super chat. Jeremy's stream is the state of tag team wrestling. I feel like Jeff should jump in and weigh on if you had a chance. What is he talking about? To be honest, guys, Ghetto Bible knew this. We were only going to be able to go for about an hour or so tonight because I have to record Patreon stuff. Damn, Ethan's got a super one going on right now. But I have some Patreon stuff to record. So down the road, I can always jump on people's streams and stuff like that. I'm all about, supporting the other guys in the fan cast. Yeah, lots of muff in this chat. Cool. We had one more from Mongo Ventura. Gal Gadot has come a long way since I last saw her in the Fast and Furious franchise. Brie Larson looks like a feminine Heath Ledger. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. I seen Gal in Fast and Furious, and then when she was cast for Wonder Woman, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna suck ass. But then seeing her completely changed my mind. Brie Larson, oh man, I don't know. She's not that attractive. She's an awful person. I don't know what to expect from this Captain Marvel movie. I'm just hoping that they reel in this sort of stupid stuff. But I had this theory that when it comes to Marvel, I think that they made their money and they're going to kill off all the old characters and they're going to start putting in the same progressive crap that they've done in Star Wars. And I don't know if that's 100%, but that's the feeling I get. It's just this thing gnawing in the back of my mind that after Tony, Captain America, all of the good characters are killed off, they're going to start pushing this progressive crap, this all female Avengers stuff and whatnot, and then that's when you're going to get the real bad Armageddon type extinction level shit show that's going to happen when the quality in movies drops because of the fact that they're more focused now on pushing politics. Because I think what they're trying to do is they're thinking that, well, Marvel's established, so now we can push this stuff because these idiots will just come and watch the movies anyways. It's so popular that the casuals people will be the ones to carry this franchise into the future, and the woke people will be the ones who inherit the franchise.
Yeah, well, the woke people don't have much money, so and they don't seem to be the demographic that have the most kids. If John and Jane take their 4 kids to go see Avengers, we're talking about $100 in movie tickets if they do it in 3D or more. You get Blake and whatever his girlfriend's name would be, Keurig, they would go see a movie, they would stream it and pirate it, and they would spend their money on other shit. So I don't know. Magog of Morscar says the new Terminator looks like the worst remake of Three's Company ever. Yeah, we called the character the LGBT 1000, thanks to one of our listeners out there. I wish I could remember who exactly coined the term because I'd love to give them credit. But Terminator, that's not going to do it. It's people are going to try to use the excuse that it's, oh, the sexist fans have ruined Terminator. No, the screenshot looked dumb. Terminator hasn't been good since 1992. Don't dig up a dead franchise's corpse, try to reinvigorate it with modern entertainment ideals, and ruin it for everybody. Terminator, if you're going to do it again, you got to let Arnold go out one last time and be a badass, not worrying about Linda Hamilton. Well, Linda Hamilton's fine too, but whatever this robot chick played by Mackenzie Davis is going to cost them money. Lots and lots of money. And Dio Brando says, I honestly wish you could be everywhere. Well, Dio Brando, I wish I could be everywhere too. It would make this show a lot easier because I could be on a couple streams, record stuff, do everything at the same time, and then also be sleeping. And then let's see, somebody else, 6 turning 4 burning says, I agree. I think Marvel is getting ready to go woke. Gal Gadot can kick my ass anytime. I like her a lot. I'm a fan. She is a good choice and a good representation of the DC universe. So what do you have to say? Anything else, Ghetto Bible, before we close this stream out for the evening?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing. I appreciate coming on, having stuff. I appreciate letting me come on and talk and whatnot. It's very fun. I appreciate the fans interacting with us. And I do want to say this to any sort of Disney writers out there, anyone who's involved with Kathleen Kennedy, if you believe in her, stuff like that. My question to you is, if you guys believe in diversity so much, then why is it every time I look at you guys, Ryan Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, all these people involved, why are you guys as diverse as a Klan rally? Seriously, tell me that. Why is there so many people who are obsessed with diversity, yet you guys are one of the least diverse groups of people out there? So please, before you preach to this, why don't you take a look in the mirror and realize that nobody's believing in your bullshit. We see you for what you are. So please, just give us good movies. You can't mix nostalgia with wokeness. It doesn't work. Either give us one or the other. And if you give us wokeness, we'll go somewhere else. If you give us too much nostalgia, well, that's also not a good thing. But I prefer the nostalgia being to where we have good characters, good movies, and a good story. That's the kind of nostalgia I want to see.
I second that 100%. And you're getting a lot of love in the chat right now. People are saying, good job, be on the High Council, all kinds of stuff. So Ghetto Bible is a patron of the channel. He'll be popping up on our monthly streams and stuff like that. And like I said, if you guys request stuff, we can make it happen. Speaking of requests and making it happen, and don't worry, Michael Rodriguez, I'm going to answer your super chat before we go. On the 13th of August, so a week from tomorrow, I got confirmation from both Mauler and the Dishonored Wolf, and they're going to be here on World Class Bullshitters. Now, that stream will probably be in the afternoon, like your drive home from work, because Mauler's in the UK, and that's a Monday, and I can't really expect him to stay up super late on a Monday to try to get to work on Tuesday. So I'll be giving you guys constant updates on the time, but I have that date locked down with the both of them for now. I spoke to them today. They're both excited to be here on World Class Bullshitters. So get your questions ready. Make sure you guys, clear your schedules. If you got to call off work, take a sick day, I don't care what you do, but you got to be here for that one because that's the most requested duo, and they're going to be here together. And there's already a lot of chemistry and charisma between them. I'm going to get in on it. We're going to have a lot of fun. So if you guys are excited for that, let me know in the chat right now. Now, Michael Rodriguez, you said, you think the woke folk are exclusive to social media? I think there are more woke people on social media, but not as many in the real world. Go out there and look. Most people are pretty normal. Go down to your trendy bars or college campuses and you'll find the woke people. But your average everyday person out there that's working and just wants to be entertained by this stuff, they don't care. And they don't find these movies. They don't give them the brownie points that the people on the internet would. So let's see. Lots of people. Thank you, everyone that's being polite. I would never replace EVS on the High Council. Jeremy, EVS, and myself can't be replaced. It's our show. It's awesome. We love it. I wouldn't change the dynamic for anything. They're a group of great dudes, and I can't wait to hang out with them at Star Wars Celebration. So, Get a Bible, is there anything you'd like to plug or to say before we close this out?
Nothing to plug. Maybe I'll do a channel sometime. I just want to say have a great day, everybody. It's been a Sunday sermon with me and Jeff. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, I'll tell you this. I enjoyed it myself. This was a nice way to close out the weekend. Weekends are a nice time to recharge the batteries. Had a little stuff to do this weekend, but still, this was a lot of fun to close it out. And thank you to everyone who stuck with us. I'm glad you guys have had a good time. I'll be back on Tuesday morning with Good Morning Pop Culture, and I'm going to be finishing up this week in Star Wars and getting ready to launch the Indiegogo for the best Star Wars parody since Spaceballs type of thing. So thank you to everyone who's made World Class Bullshitters grow. We're almost getting back up to the Geeks and Gamers numbers and EVS's numbers. We're well past 69,000. So thank you to everybody, and I'll be back on Tuesday.